Still Poddable, still Poddable. Boston Celtics, still Poddable, still Poddable. Oh yeah! Still Poddable, still Poddable. Boston Celtics, still Poddable, still Poddable. Banner 19.
Beat Rob, Jim, Pekka, J. King.
Still Poddable, still Poddable.
The Caesar on the court to get another ring.
Still Poddable, still Poddable.
Everybody in the chat now sing.
Still Poddable, still Poddable. Still Poddable, still Poddable. The Boston Celtics, still Poddable, still Poddable. Oh yeah! Shut your ass up, man.
Daddy's always asked when the air is.
Welcome back to Still Poddable, the best Celtics podcast here on Al Gore's internet. I am Sam Jam Packard, joined by the kid, the god, the legend, the brother of the assistant coach of the D3 national champion Trinity.
Yes, sir.
Jay King, ladies and gentlemen. And we're coming to you. This is the Poddable post-game show. There's been a lot of important basketball this weekend. We'll dive into all of the Celtics stuff. They had a fun win against the Portland Trailblazers tonight. But I got to give a shout-out to the legendary King brother for bringing home that natty, defeating NYU, known basketball school NYU in the D3 National Championship. Jay, your thoughts? Proud moment for you and the King family, I would assume.
It was amazing, man. It was an intense game. They were down the entire last 5 minutes. They were down 5 with 3.5 minutes left. They were still down 4 with 1.5 minutes left.
Damn.
I thought it was done.
One.
They airballed a shot while down 1 with like 15 seconds left. Got the rebound, got blocked, got the rebound, hit like a 30-footer to win the national championship with 12 seconds left. It was a crazy, crazy game. Perfect win for Trinity. They had an unbelievable season. Knocked off the number 1 team in the country, Wesleyan, at Wesleyan to win the NESCAC tournament. NESCAC, probably the best conference in the country this year. And then ran the table in the tournament, obviously, and beat the new number 1 NYU. Beat Wesleyan again in the Final Four, then beat the new number 1 NYU, which was loaded with like grad transfer. They were really good. That was a great, great basketball game. Great, great basketball team. And my brother's a fucking national champ, baby.
So kudos to him. All the I was still Poddable. Kudos to the King family. All the bantams. You know, NESCAC pride. Obviously, I'm proud. I'm a proud polar bear. And normally you'd be a rival against a bantam, but not when you're in the natty, and not when I know the brother of the assistant coach. And so a kudos, a tip of the cap to all the
Trinity basketball, baby.
Trinity basketball. All right, we're here to talk about Boston Celtics basketball, and let's focus on the game tonight. They beat the Portland Trailblazers, pretty much a coast-to-coast victory. They win 129-116. Just a cool, casual 39-9 from Jason Tatum. Jay, I mean, what's the biggest takeaway from this game, and why is it not more Baylor Shireman at this point? Like, I feel like he's been pretty damn good over the last 4 or 5 games that he's actually gotten a chance to play.
He's not the same human anymore.
He's totally wildly different.
Totally different Baylor Shireman. He's bold. He's confident. He's blowing kisses to everybody. Just a truly, truly incredible in-season turnaround. From really not having any confidence and missing everything earlier in the season to now there's just a life to him. There's an energy to him. You know, he's going out there and he's playing decisively. And now you can see the instincts. You can see the basketball IQ. You can see, you know, how he could be a connective piece, how he can make shots, how he can he tries to take charges all the time. He seems to be in the right place a lot defensively. And so Baylor Shireman has put a lot of work into his game, and he continues to just kind of do his thing out there. So this is kind of what I expected when they drafted him. And then after preseason, it was like just No. He's a long way away. And now he's back to being Baylor Shireman.
And it feels like it's unprecedented. I can't remember a rookie making like, I feel very loath to call it a jump because it's been 3 games or a 4-game sample size at this point. But the thing that I think is stood out tonight is just, it's not the shot making. He knocked down his open threes, which is a drastic improvement from where he was in his earlier in the season, where he just didn't even look comfortable taking the open threes. But you're right. It's the playmaking. It's the ball swings to him and he makes the right decision. He's attacking the cup. I think he had that one play where he found Hauser in the corner, but he had multiple options, and it's just, I always come back to the idea of 0.5 basketball is what Nick Freeman would teach me, is you have to be able to make that decision instantly, and it just feels like he's so much more in the flow state now, more comfortable, and is making those quick decisions. And but just playing off the dribble it's something I know you talked about when you watched his film coming out of Creighton, but we didn't see any of that. And it's starting to come out in this final month and a half of the season, but it's the playmaking that I thought has been the most impressive. Just, he feels very comfortable with the ball in his hands, making the right pass, but also looking to get downhill, looking to attack. And so putting the defense on their heels a little bit. I talked about this the last time I did a post-game podcast for Baylor Shireman. How much of this is us looking for something to talk about because it's late March and the Celtics are comfortably in the 2 seed? And how much of this is maybe Baylor could get spicy in the playoffs?
I don't know if the playoffs is the right thing to be thinking about right now, because
2 points of the spectrum. Dial it in for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Let's dial it back from that. Let's not think about the playoffs, because if the Celtics are healthy tonight, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and Drew Holiday were all out, which gave a little opportunity for the guys at the end of the rotation.
And Peyton Pritchard fouled, got 3 fouls in the first 2 minutes.
That was quick foul trouble. But what's really matters is he looks like he could be a contributor in the future now. And this is the first time all season, really. I mean, Jaden Springer had, I guess, a game or 2 where he was pretty good, and he turned around the Clippers game. But this is the first time a player has really, really taken advantage of minutes. Drew Peterson had a solid game against Cleveland, but that was more what's Drew Peterson doing in there? And then he was fine. He didn't screw up. But Baylor's just he's helped things go. And he's looked so much more confident, so much more aggressive, even going after rebounds. Tonight, there was a play, he went after a defensive rebound. I remind you, he's the leading defensive rebounder in NCAA history.
I did not know that.
Baylor
in terms
Shireman.
of rebounders, rebounds acquired?
Total defensive rebounds. Yeah, and it's a little...
Did he play 6 years?
It's a little misleading, yeah, because he got an extra year. But everybody's had an extra year lately, and nobody else has matched Baylor Shireman at that. But even the way he just goes after defensive rebounds, there's one he just took away from Al Horford, and I like that. He's just playing with a strength and a power that he didn't come close to having earlier this season. He had 3 assists, 5 rebounds, and so, like you said, it's not the shooting as much as it's just everything has come to life lately. There's a vibrance to him over the last few games that did not exist in the preseason during his early minutes this season. He looked totally lost out there. Now he's found.
Ooh, wow, poetic. Celtics have now won 5 in a row. I think this was a little bit more evident in their Friday night win against the Jazz, but it's March. We've seen the Cavs drop, I think, 4 in a row. The Knicks are struggling right now. It's gotten to a point in the season where teams who know they're going to be in the playoffs can have a tendency to drop some games. I thought, and this is again more so in the Jazz game, because I thought there, especially in the second half, there's some really stretches of bad defense by both teams here. But I thought the Celtics just came out with an intensity of we're not going to lose to the Jazz. And I think they did a pretty solid job of just Portland Trailblazers are a hard playing team. We've seen they didn't really give up or let the rope go at any point in this game. And so I like the Celtics approach, working guys back in the lineup, winning 5 straight. They're just not messing around. And these are easy games. They have a bunch of easy games left, but why not stack up a bunch of wins? Like, it's not going to hurt your season whatsoever if you just play some winning basketball. And so I think it's solid to see Sam Hauser just have a great shooting performance. Peyton Pritchard react to kind of that early foul trouble and come back and shoot the ball well. Luke Cornett come in and just be that kind of connective tissue, making the right pass. And so, yeah, it's games against the Jazz and the Trailblazers, but I just like the general approach of, like, they're still playing solid and winning basketball in both those games.
Yeah. And I thought tonight, just Jason Tatum was great. First half, he didn't score much, but he had their big man on skates. He was getting past them at will. The in and out he had on Klingon.
Oh, yeah, that was spicy.
He had another move on Klingon that was just like, oh, wow. Jason Tatum is just had him in hell right now. And Klingon, like, he's huge, but he can move his feet a little bit. He's one of the best defensive prospects at that position in a while. And Tatum just it's very tough for a big man to stick with Tatum in the pick and roll. Tatum has gotten so good at just abusing big men in the pick and roll. And that's one of the reasons why the Celtics have become so unstoppable. But I just thought it was a great Jason Tatum game. They didn't know what to do with him. They couldn't double him because then he found open shooters. They couldn't play drop against him because he was killing their big men. They couldn't switch against him because he was hitting shots over the top of guys like Anthony Simons. They got a couple minutes left. They put Simons on him, and he just hits the one-legged fadeaway over the top of him from the foul line. There was another play earlier. Shaedon Sharpe was kind of guarding him pretty well. Tatum just like casually shot a Dirk one-legger over the top of his head. And Shaedon Sharpe is like an insane athlete, not really the greatest defender, but big, athletic. It was easy for Jason Tatum tonight. And another reminder that, like, he can just kind of play with anybody. They had lineups where it was him, Shireman, Torrey Craig, J.D. Davison. And as long as Jason Tatum's out there, like, you got a pretty good chance of winning those minutes. And I thought that all those guys played pretty well. Torrey Craig had a pretty good game. J.D. Davison had a pretty good game. Baylor Shireman, obviously, we talked about him. But Tatum was just really pulling all the strings tonight.
Yeah, and I just feel like it's an opportunity.
And he had the most hilarious technical foul.
20 seconds left in the game.
20 seconds left in the game. They had the ball, and he got a technical foul.
I thought he almost could have gotten a second tech for his aggressive bounce pass to the referee after he got the tech. Wasn't there a tech? I think it was a couple years ago where someone got teed up for, like, bouncing the ball too harshly at a referee. I think it might have been JJ Redick, actually, when he was in Philadelphia. But I just think it's impressive, and this is just like what Jason Tatum does. And here's the question, because folks in chat were commenting on this, and I know it's something you mentioned before. Is it to his detriment that he just, like, continues to play not hard? Obviously, he's going to play hard, but, like, was there any reason for Jason Tatum to play 37 minutes tonight? And, like, the only stretch of the game, I get it. Like, he came out of the game in the second quarter, and the Blazers immediately went on a 12-0 run. And Joe wants to win these games. And so maybe a 14-point lead with 4 minutes left, you don't take out Jason Tatum. But where are you on Jason Tatum minutes watch?
I think it's counterproductive to play him as many minutes as they have. I think it's pretty tough because he clearly fights to play, especially on the road, and especially in cities that only see him one time, like Portland. And he wants to make sure that the fans who are there to see him get to see him. At the same time, they need to find some rest for him. And I think they're doing a good job of it with Jaylen Brown right now. Obviously, Jaylen was playing through a lot of nagging injuries for a while. It's been weeks, month, whatever, that he was just playing through stuff. And I don't know if Tatum is playing through anything or much of anything right now, but still think you got to get him some minutes or some games where you just give him the night off.
Do you expect him to play in Sacramento on the second night of the back-to-back? Because it feels like they set this up where it's like Drew, JB, and KP will probably play against the Kings, and Al Horford will likely sit. I don't know about Derek White, but it's like it feels like they're being strategic about at least handling these back-to-backs as they finish the season here.
Sit Jason Tatum. Sit him. Sit him.
I didn't ask you what you think should happen. I'm asking you what you think will happen, Jay
I
King.
think he'll show up as questionable on the scouting report. And I think there will be an argument about whether he'll play.
And he'll think, what about my fans in Sacramento who've ordered the JTs and they need to see me out there? And then I'll end up playing.
And we'll see who wins the argument. And oftentimes I think it's Jason Tatum who wins that argument.
So he'll seems like that he is destined to play against this Kings. But I agree with you. It's like these games are essentially meaningless unless Cleveland has an absolute collapse. And I know Joshua B wants us to mention that, the Celtics are only 5 games back of the Cavs.
5 games is a lot.
It's a lot with only like 12 games left to play. So there's really not a lot for the Celtics to be playing for right now. But I'd like to get him to rest, but he's the superstar of the team. He kind of gets to do what he wants. So we shall see on tomorrow's postgame Poddable what happens there. Any other hot basketball takes from this game, Jay? Anything stick out to you from your notes, things you want to talk about?
The Celtics just really had some, like the Trailblazers defenders were having some tough times with the Celtics off the dribble. Peyton Pritchard had that one move where he had Kamara on his back. And
Kamara's like a pretty solid defender.
Very good defender, yeah. And just kind of stopped. Kamara just kept going one way. Pritchard stopped, stepped back the other, splashed a 3. Another play, Jabari Walker was guarding Pritchard, just dropped him, finished a reverse layup. We talked about the clinging plays with Tatum. There was a play with Duop Reith where he was in a lot of trouble against Tatum. There were a lot of really, really nice dribble moves by the Celtics tonight.
I mean, Sam Hauser was feeling it. He got to the cup and absolutely smoked a bunny after going 7 for 7 from 3. Really ruining my hopes of him getting 65 2-point shots this year. I'm going to concede on that one. I don't think I won that bet, Jay.
No kidding. That was very clear when we made the bet at the beginning of the season.
So sorry for having a growth mindset and believing in Sam Hauser's 2-point shot.
You got to have a growth mindset for yourself and make yourself a better predictor.
Wow, you really flipped that on me. I thought I had a good retort, but that was a solid point there. I should be a better predictor. And so for next season, I'm going under 65 2-point makes for Sam Hauser. I'm going to say it here tonight, folks. I'm just trying to look at my notes in the box score. I mean, I mentioned Luke Cornett a little bit. He had the sweet, I thought his passing on the roll is just.
Yeah,
it's very good. His touch pass on the roll to Sam Hauser in the corner, like it felt like it meant to be a lob to him and he knew it wasn't there and immediately threw it. Like his just presence. And I know like you NBA players are trained at this point, like, with proper spacing, there's going to be a guy in that corner, but it's just like making that pass and having that trust and having the awareness that Hauser is there is just super difficult when you're catching the ball in traffic. And I think Cornett is just fantastic at that. And it's just not something I would have pointed to as a huge strength of his game in prior seasons. It feels like he's really made a leap in just terms of passing on the roll this season.
And it's not something you would think of as a strength for Luke Cornett because he looks kind of goofy. He does goofy stuff. Like he'll bark after big plays. He'll
do it too small, but like he did tonight, but like meekish and sheepishly and only for a second.
Like only to make people laugh, not to be like a real jackass like a lot of guys. But he has like just developed a very impressive hand-eye coordination for somebody his size. The slam dunk he had was with the left, the putback with the left hand. He had the play that you mentioned where he caught it at the rim and found Hauser in the corner. There's just like a very nice ability to just kind of calculate everything at once and do it all, and then have the hand-eye coordination on top of it to do stuff with his left hand, to tap balls out, to find guys in the corner, to do all of that. I do think that's come a long way since he's been in Boston. and is one of the reasons why he's really developed, on top of having, the physicality and kind of giving up the 3-point shot and becoming better offensive rebounder, shot blocker, all that stuff. But I think all that little stuff that kind of helps an offense, he's gotten really good at all that stuff too.
Did you see the clip of him and Jalen talking with Forsberg?
Yes, I did.
For those who haven't seen it, sure, it's on the NBC Sports Boston page, but it was earlier in the year when Giannis elbowed Jalen and then did the fake handshake too slow. Apparently, and you got to go watch it because it's like the most giddy I've ever seen Jalen in the telling of any story. Luke Cornett came up to him and was just like, he shouldn't have done that. And I did nothing, and I'm upset. Luke Cornett was very upset at his non-reaction to Jalen, which is funny because like at no point after that have we seen Luke Cornett become an enforcer or seen him like be a physical after the whistle guy. But in that moment, he was upset with himself for not being an enforcer. And Jalen's just like giggling, telling this story, laughing his ass off at how frustrated Luke was with his own cowardice, I guess. It was one of the better content I've seen coming out of the Celtics recently.
Yeah, that was really funny. The thought of Luke like legitimately mad is really funny, and then Jalen just kind of being like, "What were you gonna do, man? Like, how on earth were you gonna protect me, man?"
He was more mad at himself for not doing anything than he was mad enough to like at Giannis to actually do anything. But just like Jalen laughing in his face, like, yeah, sure, Luke. Like next time you step up, buddy, it's all on you. I thought that was great.
That was good stuff. Well done, Forsberg.
Well done, Forsberg. Speaking of Forsberg, perfect transition to the junk drawer. I'm the only person out there who's a fan of the Forsberg mustache. I feel like it's getting a lot of hate. I feel like everyone's telling him shave it. I think you said it was a porno mustache.
I did not say that.
Yes, you did. On the last podcast with Abby Chin, you said he had you said he looked like a pedophile.
Yes, I did.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. That's like I need to be an accurate journalist here. I'm a fan of the mustache. I don't know why you dislike it.
Whoa.
I mentioned the Trace Leches play. I liked pregame Joe talking about Jason Tatum's dad as a coach won the Australian Championship or the Down Under World Series, whatever.
NBL.
Yeah, that's the
which
better
is
name for it.
Australian, yeah.
Yeah, but they have the New Zealand Breakers, so they do have teams from both islands. And he was asked about it, and he just gave us kind of like generic like response. But then he mentioned like in his response like something that like happened down the stretch of the game, and I think Abby followed up with, "Oh, so did the team watch that together?" And he's just like, "No, I can't tell you that," which is like, it's just so needlessly combative, but it's like so perfectly Joe at this point where he can't even reveal that the team may have been watching Jason Tatum's father coach in a game before the Trailblazers game. It's just vintage Joe.
Classic Joe. That's just what Joe does.
Talked about Hauser's Smoke Bunny. There's a horrible continuation call from one of the referees. I don't remember it, but it was just absolutely terrible. And then the only other thing I have in my notes is that Shaedon Sharpe can float. The guy is the best jumper I've seen in a long time. And just everything he does is pretty cool when he's jumping. And I think Chat said was he in the dunk contest like 2 years ago and didn't do anything, which is shocking to me because he just has elite leaping ability. But that's pretty much all I got, Jay.
I've got some more. The Derek White bank three.
Always fun.
Classic. I enjoyed Cornette. He was just incredulous after getting called for a foul on an offensive rebound. Like totally just, there's no other word for it. Just fully incredulous. Shireman, we hyped him up. Horrible foul on Scoot Henderson. There was like 12 or 13 seconds left on the shot clock.
It was bad.
Scoot was shooting a step back three. That's exactly what you want him to be shooting a contested step back three. Just don't foul him. Cannot foul him there. The one play that I love the most from Shireman was Tatum had already had 16 points in the third quarter and was clearly just trying to ISO. And Shireman was in the opposite corner, like just calling for it, like over and over, hands in the air, calling for it. And then you can look back at the tape if you want. It was a play when he ended up posting up Denny Avdia, getting the ball to Peyton Pritchard, who hit a three. But in the corner, Baylor was like this, and he looked dejected that Jason Tatum did not find him in the opposite corner.
Was he open, or did he just liked his matchup?
He was. It would have been a really tough pass to actually get it to him. He was all the way across the court. It could have possibly. It would not have been an easy pass to get there, but also Tatum was cooking and just kind of wanted to slow it down and get to his spot and do his thing. And Baylor just. He was in the opposite corner, so you couldn't really see his face, but from the body language, it looked like he was just dejected that Jason Tatum did not find him, and that he was 100% sure he was going to hit that three if Jason Tatum found him.
I mean, you got to appreciate the confidence of a guy like getting his first run in the league and playing well, and so I do hope they get that on the film and they show that to him and perhaps clown him in the next shoot around or film session, because that's not something a rookie normally does, especially when the star is absolutely cooking the other team. So I did not catch that. I'm glad that your keen eye of knowing ball captured that moment.
It was really funny. This is also hilariously Peyton Pritchard's first start of the season. Everybody else has started. Every other person has started. Drew Peterson has started.
Is it to just get him the sixth man of the year like they did with Malcolm Brogdon?
But I mean, you can definitely start a certain amount of games. He just hasn't started at all. And then he finally starts tonight, picks up 3 fouls instantly. They left him on the court after the second one, picked up the third one. I think I probably would have taken him off the court after the third one, but he only averages 1.5 fouls per game.
I was actually thinking about this when it happens. Like, what? He's not he is like a physical defender, but like it's a kind of a meaningless game in Portland. Like, what's the real harm of just leaving him in the game there and just like seeing what happens? Because if he finishes out the half or like plays his normal rotations and doesn't pick up another foul, you're basically in the same place you are. And if he does pick another foul, then you just go to Baylor Shireman. I don't know. It's just
and they didn't leave him out the whole half. They brought him in with like 9 minutes left in the second quarter. I think Joe handled it pretty well. I don't know if Joe has like a set rule on foul trouble. Like Brad Stevens used to just not react to foul trouble. It would just be like guys would get foul trouble, he'd just leave them in there.
You just tell them don't foul. It is the type of thing like if you are in foul trouble, you can't play as physical defense. But I feel like Pritchard's not contesting a lot of shots and stuff. He's like,
but they could have done more to go at him. I guess it could have been a weak link in the defense.
Yeah, so I think that's the argument for taking him out, but ended up working out. He redeemed himself. Like you normally think he's going to dominate when he's playing the Trailblazers or playing in Oregon. And he had a rough night considering that, but then he had 3 threes in a row. I think they're in the third quarter. And his parents got interviewed on the broadcast. They said they're both competitive as hell. And so
that was great. That was a great answer. Actually, she was like, yeah, we're maniacs too.
Yeah. It's like, well, we made this child. Like, of course he's just like us.
What the hell did you expect?
And then they asked his dad, it was like, what do you think about it? Like, what would you tell him he's in foul trouble? And his immediate response was, well, I didn't think 2 of those were fouls. And I was like, yeah, that's a dad watching his son play basketball. That's great.
Classic. Speaking of Pritchard, that one play must have been so frustrating for the Blazers. He did like a BS step through and hit like the side of the backboard. It somehow went right back to him, and he found Hauser at the very end of the shot clock, and Hauser drilled. I believe it was his 8th 3 of the night. Yeah. The Blazers must have been like, what the fuck are we supposed to do if they're just doing that nonsense?
And they're playing for something. They're at 2.5 games back of the 10 seed. They could have a playing game if things keep going well in their direction. So frustrating night for the fine folks in Portland.
One last play I want to mention that was pretty cool. Well, Torrey Craig keeps getting on the offensive glass, but the one play was when I he missed, and Baylor Shireman got the rebound and then dribbled it out, and then Baylor Shireman missed, but Torrey Craig got the rebound and found J.D. Davison for an open three and a splash. And it was just good work on the glass by both of the backup wings, and nice make for J.D. Davison.
All right, we're going to finish this episode with a hot take from you. Who's more likely to play in the playoffs, Torrey Craig or Baylor Shireman?
Baylor Shireman.
Wow. I answered Torrey Craig 2 games ago in discussing the same question. I thought Torrey Craig's experience and kind of defensive know-how would put him over the edge. Why Baylor?
I think he seems to be just higher in the pecking order. Just everything that's happened since Torrey Craig got to the Celtics just seems like Baylor's getting more opportunities. He's getting more minutes. He started tonight when Peyton Pritchard had the foul trouble, and they didn't start him after halftime. It's just I think Baylor Shireman is just kind of edging his way in there right now.
There you go. From the kid himself, Jay King. Let's hope Baylor Shireman doesn't have to play in the playoffs, folks. But if it gets to it, if they get to the 11th man, then maybe they'll go Baylor over Torrey Craig. But these are the types of questions we have to talk about. You know, it's late March. The Celtics are locked into the 2 seed. They're on their West Coast trip. They've won the first 2. They've won 5 in a row, and they'll be back tomorrow night against the Sacramento Kings. And we'll be back tomorrow night with more Still Poddable. For anyone out there watching on YouTube or Twitter, you can go to patreon.com/stillpoddable if you want to subscribe today. We'll get daily Celtics content, podcast for you every single day, Monday through Friday. And we're a championship podcast. Shout out to Quapt. He's congratulating the King family on the big win this weekend.
Thank you, sir. What a moment.
Shout out to the Kings for being winners. Shout out to me for being winners, because I'm currently in a first place of the Still Poddable bracket. I've been in first place from Jump Street. I have 30 more points than any other person in the bracket. More maximum points than anyone else there. And so I too am a winner. And so I think it's just it's a winner's environment. Where
who's your champion? Florida, right?
Yeah, they had a tough
you almost had a tough loss today. Almost.
But win in advance, win and survive. And that's where Florida did. I really did it, you know, as just a pure respect for Al Horford as a champion.
But you had no respect for Jason Tatum, that means.
Well, Duke is different.
No respect for Luke Cornett. His Vanderbilt squad was
Vanderbilt even in?
Oh yeah,
I did not pick Vanderbilt.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, well, Al Horford is a special place in my heart. You know, he's what can I say? I calls him as I sees him, and that's what we do here on Still Poddable. So I appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back tomorrow with more analysis.
Oregon, they're still alive. No respect for Peyton Pritchard.
Now you're just naming. What about Utah State? No respect for Nemi. That's correct, folks.
That is correct.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable, the Boston Still Poddable, Still Poddable. Oh yeah!
Slow down from eating and drinking and all that wild stuff.